All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. So for this video, we're going to be doing something that I've been waiting for. We are going to be finally wrapping the hood. This is something that I really wanted to do. I want the carbon fiber look on this hood, and also I want to do some other accent pieces on the front bumper once that goes on. So what I have in here is the wrap we're going to be using. Let me pull this out and I'll show you what this looks like. Here is the wrap. I have it kind of out in the sunlight. It's a little bit cloudy out, but if you move up to a real close, definitely has a very good and nice looking carbon look to it. It's very realistic. This is the TinyBot 6D gloss carbon fiber vinyl that we're going to be using for it. I will go ahead and I'm going to put this in the link in the description, so if you wanted to use this on your car, you could do that too as well. For starting with this project, I need to get this hood nice and clean, so I have some isopropyl alcohol right up here, and then I have just a brand new fresh clean microfiber towel. We will wipe the whole entire top surface of this hood down, and we're also going to get on the edges of all these sides of the hood and also a little bit underneath all the way around this hood. And I'm also going to go ahead and remove our windshield wiper washer sprayers here. We'll just pop these out and get these out of the way because we don't want these in the way when we put this wrap on. Now that the hood is nice and clean and also the wipers are out, we're gonna go ahead, we'll unwrap our carbon fiber here, and we're just gonna measure out the section that we're gonna need. So this piece here, I got it plenty big enough. This is a 5 foot by 7 foot piece just because I wanted to do some extra parts. The 5 foot is perfect for the width of the hood, and then it just depends on how long your hood is. This is a pretty short hood, so this is probably only gonna be like a 5 foot by a 4 foot piece that we're gonna cut out here. Just make sure to give yourself a little bit of extra space, so that way you have a little bit of vinyl wrap to pull on the edges and stretch things out if you need to. So right now I have all 4 corners cut to length. Everything is the size that I want it to be. It overhangs just a little bit. So what we're gonna do is flip this over so the carbon side is going to be laying up on top. And then I do have an extra set of hands. We're gonna go ahead, pull this backing off and stretch this over the top of the hood. Make sure we get everything nice and flush on here. The wrap is now set on the hood. I'm trying to get out some of these wrinkles here towards like the center part. Some of them are, it's kind of a pain in the butt to get all of them out, but I'm gonna start kind of squeegeeing the center part because you want to work your way from the center on out, and then we'll work our way and deal with this hood scoop last. This might be a little bit difficult to do because it is indented scoop. So I'm just gonna put this on a time lapse. All right, guys, just a quick update. I've been at this for probably about 10 minutes now. I'm just trying to get this middle section sorted out. There is a couple bubbles in here you can see, but for the most part, this is all tight. I'm pretty much doing this like one section at a time, so I'll do the middle, and then I'll kind of work on the sides. The sides are what have this big cowl right here. So I'm basically working out to this cowl, and then we'll deal with this once this is taken care of. If you have any small bubbles in here, this is like a release vinyl, so the small bubbles are not that big of a deal. You can take your finger and just push on it and basically massage it in, and you can see that one just disappeared right there. I'll do it on this one too, and disappeared. So that's kind of helpful. It's pretty nice. Just make sure you don't get any big bubbles in there. I'm gonna keep working on this and continuing on, get the center section, and then I'll work on the sides after that. The middle section is basically all glassed out right now. I have all the bubbles out pretty much. It looks pretty solid. This is how you want it to look like, and we're trying to get this look on the whole thing. The only spots that you'll see up here are going to be there's that divot right there is just for the wipers, and that's not a big deal. That's fine. That's supposed to look like that. So right now I'm just going to start working on these actual cowl parts. I will need to heat this up most likely with a heat gun, so that'll allow us to kind of get these curves a little bit better and allow this to flow in here properly. I hit this edge right here very quickly with that heat gun before I went ahead and laid it down, and I kind of was holding the wrap up with one hand and holding it taut, and then I was taking the squeegee with the other hand, and we were just running it along this edge. It actually smoothed out pretty darn good. definitely happy with it. You can see this whole edge here is pretty defined. And now what we can do is start working on this section right here. And this is flat the rest of the way, all the way to the edge here. All right, I've been working on this wrap for a little bit now, and as you can see, I've had some issues over here on this side. The issue is when you basically take this cowl down here, you're gonna end up with pretty much some slack wrap, and that's what I have right here. I wasn't able to get it out. I got some right there, and I also have a little bit up here. So I was having quite a bit of issues with all this extra film because of this slack. It just makes everything uneven because it's not a flat surface. From the top right here. So I did a little bit of looking into it, and I'm trying out this technique that seems to be working pretty good over here. What I'm doing is on this section here on the front where a lot of this slack is I'm basically pulling this film pretty tightly, and we're taking the heat gun, putting the heat gun on it, and letting it basically go at the angle outward. And that's pretty much taking this film and stretching it out a little bit, and then I'm just working it with the squeegee a little bit at a time in order to get this out. And I was able to, I got a little bit more to go right here, but this is already significantly better than over here. I am gonna have to try and redo this side. Hopefully these are not too deep to the point where I can't get them out. I'm hoping that I'll be able to get these out a little bit. I'm a little bit concerned about that though, but we're gonna keep trying this method over here. And you don't want to stretch it too much because you can't actually see in here. If you do look, there is like a little spot that you can see kind of where I started heating this up, and you're probably gonna see that all the way down. It's very light and subtle, but either way, it definitely beats the look of that. As you just saw on the time lapse, I may have just actually saved the wrap. I was a little bit bummed out about this. I didn't think I'd be able to repair it. I redid it. Now you can still see, if you do look up close, it does still have the marks in here from those creases before. You're not going to be able to get those out once they get put in here. So I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's my first hood I've ever wrapped. It's actually probably the first item I've ever wrapped in general. But just take your time and use that heat to stretch stuff out to exactly where you need it to. It will work. The heat does wonders with this. So I still have one last thing that I need to do on this actual part right here, is we need to wrap this insert in the hood. So for this, we're definitely going to need to use the heat gun in order to allow this to fall down into here. Obviously this goes into the hood, and then we are going to have to make a cut, relief cut up here on the top, cut this section off. What I'm working on right now is we need to go ahead and we're gonna have to cut this film off the car here pretty soon. So what I'm doing is I'm taking this, I'm pulling it nice and tight, and I'm using that heat gun and just heating it right here on the very edge of the hood. I just want to get a nice, smooth, and clean surface here on the edge all the way around, because what we're gonna do is we will fold this on the underside of the hood and basically tuck it just underneath, and we're gonna cut this right on the bottom. And we'll tuck that excess right underneath the bottom side of the hood so you won't see it. I just heated this up all the way around, took my finger, basically just followed this edge all the way around the front side, back side, hit everything. So right now it is going to be time to cut it. So I just have one of those straight edge razor blades right here, and we're going to take it and we're basically going to cut this flush with the bottom underside of the hood. The idea is that it will leave a little bit extra wrap so that we can take that and fold that on the bottom underside of this hood. Now that the hood is all wrapped and all the edges are cut on this, what we're gonna do is take that heat gun one more time, go ahead, heat up all these edges, and just take your finger and just press it into the underside and into the side here to make sure it is fully secure. Other than that, the only thing that I have left to do on this hood is just go ahead and cut this section right here, and then also get my windshield washer fluid sprayers in. So now that the hood is all wrapped up and everything is pretty much complete on this, there's one more piece, at least one more piece on the front bumper that I wanted to wrap up right now with that same material. I'm gonna work on trying to get out these fog light covers right here and disassemble the pieces from them. I'd like to wrap all of this black section right here if I could. It might be a little bit challenging, but I definitely do want to give it a shot. I think that it'd make this bumper look a lot better than it does. I'm out of the shop for just a moment. We're going to be wrapping these panels that I want to wrapped, that I want to get wrapped inside the house. So this is the front bumper cover piece right here. This goes basically in front of the crash bar and covers up a piece on that front bumper. I want to get this wrapped as well in some carbon fiber. That's why I ordered some additional wrap to be able to do this. So for this, we're going to do this in two sections. That's the plan. One section is going to be for this bottom part right here. You can see it curves quite a bit down and also on the top too as well. And that's why we're not doing this in one piece, because the top also has curves. What we'll do is do this bottom part first, and then we're gonna basically seam this in, probably right here on this line. I think that's gonna be the best way to do it. And that's where we're gonna put our second piece up here and then cover this second piece just like that. So I got two pieces here cut out for it that I think will work pretty good. And then we also have the fog light trim pieces here too as well, that I am probably gonna attempt to do this all in one piece. Now I've done and I've wrapped up a couple more pieces here. So we got the front bumper grill piece right here, and then I also did do the fog light cover inserts too as well. These turned out okay. There is still a couple wrinkles and spots on these that I couldn't make perfect. These are pretty difficult to wrap in my opinion, but nonetheless, I mean, they're gonna do. I'm gonna stick with them. Same thing on this one, couple pieces here on the top and also on the bottom too. There's a couple wrinkles on here. There's one more thing that I need to do to this before I install it. I will need to cut this bottom lip here. So this needs to be cut 100% flush and clean. So what I'm gonna do is just take off basically all these notches right here. And that's because we have our front mount intercooler on the front, and we don't want any of these things to poke into our actual intercooler. And we also did delete the bottom grill too as well, that would normally go right here on the bottom. So there's nothing for that piece to even clip into. So that's the reason why we're gonna be chopping that off. This is how the front bumper looks with everything kind of on here just loosely. Still need to kind of finish up heating up a couple edges and rolling over this vinyl wrap. Thanks for tuning in. This is going to be a wrap for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and stay tuned for the next one.